Buddy, it's Carolyn here, and I'm doing some stuff, and I thought I might take you through a story that I found. Originally, I was working on Joan Lee Palmer because she's a kind of a cousin, sideways, whatever, and so I was trying to build her life. Um, and I was able to find records that showed her as a child, and then I did find her death date. The thing that surprised me is that on the Social Security record, it showed that she had multiple husbands. And these are them. I'm still in the process of working on Forsyth, Davenport, and Robinson. They may or may not be deceased, but I want to at least chase down their names and their birth dates. So I was working and I looked at her. Let's see, let me show it to you. Here we go. In this United States Social Security numerical identification file, I found that she had all these surnames. So we've got a husband named Stein, here, a husband named Forsyth, a husband named Davenport, and a husband named Burke, in addition to her maiden name of Palmer. So, and these checked out. It is absolutely her record because her parents are correct. So I went ahead and I added it, and then I just manually added spouses for her: surname Stein, surname Forsyth, surname Davenport, surname Burke. No idea what the rest of their names were. First name, middle name, anything like that. So I added them, and then I started to work on them individually by going over to Ancestry and finding what information I could, including, and I don't usually do this, but this is the construction process of private persons who are living. I did take information from an ancestry tree that I saw. If all else failed, I figured it would provoke some records, provoke some hints that would be correct, and that I could correct the data. You always start with what you've got, and then you build on it. And if something's wrong, it's easy enough to fix. But as you know from working in family trees on any platform, anybody who's living is not visible to the rest of the world. So any work that I do on these people is safe because it's private until it's public. And so what you want to do is do all the work possible on them as private living persons before rendering them deceased and adding that data to them. So the first person I found was Leo Stein. They were married in October of 1950, and they were divorced in December of 1950. I don't know where that divorce took place. She got married in Benton County, Arkansas a couple of times, even though she was not living there at the time. So I don't know where that divorce took place, but it's a hint that I took from a tree, and we're going to see how that develops. Now, I was able to find his information for birth and death, and there are more documents for him. So I'll be able to add those in and potentially go backwards. He was 10 years old in the 1940 census. I'll be able to find his parents. If there are any duplicates, I'll be able to merge them. So that's good. This was the one that really got me. I was looking at Robert Eugene Burke, her, third husband. And I started adding the children. And when I did, I noticed that all of the death dates were exactly the same. And that was a little unnerving. What would that suggest to you if you saw that all the death dates were the same? It couldn't be disease, really, because it's very, very unlikely that 5 people would die of disease all on the same day. It's possible, but it's unlikely. And absent any story, I had to think about, well, what are the other reasons why it might be? There could have been a robbery that resulted in multiple murders. Terrible thought, but it's true. It could be that they were in a car accident, and everybody but Joan, unfortunately, died all at once. Poor Joan had to outlive this entire story. But then I found a news article, and the news article tells the story. So let me go over to Robert Eugene Burke. I attached it to all of the children as well. I go over to memories where I added it, and there was a fire in the family home. The first thing that it provided me was the reason for all of them dying. The second thing it provided was the fact that it took place in Ontario, California. I only had San Bernardino County, California, and Ontario is in San Bernardino. So I went ahead and I refined all of these by adding Ontario, San Bernardino, California, United States in place of San Bernardino, California, United States. So when I look at the memory, it tells the tale. They died in a fire. He was babysitting while his wife was working as a waitress at a coffee shop. Now, he wasn't really babysitting, I think we all know. They're his children. He was simply home. But whatever, we're going to set the sexist stuff aside in favor of understanding this tragic story. There was a noise like an explosion, said one neighbor, and the place was in flames. Neighbors tried to fight through the fire but were forced back. Firemen forced their way in behind fire hoses and pulled out Burke and the children. The father and a daughter, Barbara, were pronounced dead at the scene. Tony, Terry, and Bobby Lynn, also known as Robert Lynn, were pronounced dead at nearby hospitals. Fire Chief Lloyd Hopkins said he believed a cigarette started the fire in a living room couch. Burke's body was found nearby. So, this is a horrible story, an awful story. But it was, by being systematic, fairly straightforward to put together. And that's really what we need to do, always, is to be as systematic as we possibly can in assembling information and just keep painting on the layers. I always say it's like going from a black wall to a neon pink wall, and in order to get there, you need some base coats of white before you start hitting it with a couple of coats of that neon pink. And that's really what we're doing, is we're trying to get a black wall to a neon pink wall, theoretically speaking, whatever. And that's what we've got here. So this explains how that family died. It also explains, back arrow, why Joan Lee Palmer ended up remarrying. The date that I pulled for marriage in each of these cases is an approximate date. I got the date for Leo Stein first by adding the information about when she changed her name in the Social Security record. It's also where I drew his surname. And then in searching, I found that the marriage record gives the precise information. But as I say, they were married and divorced within a couple of months. So then she married Mr. Forsyth. Don't have his data yet, but I will. And that information is simply June 1962, and that's because she applied for her new surname with Social Security at the end of June 1962. So I don't have the date. I made sure I got rid of the date from her application and simply added June of 1962. Now, they could have been more married in May. I don't know. This is a ballpark. And so what it's doing is allowing me to look to provoke more hints by searching on Ancestry. The next marriage we see is her marriage. Oh, I see. That's not, I thought these were chronologically ordered. Somehow they're not. So she got divorced in December of 1950 for Mr. Stein. And then in June of 51, she married Mr. Burke. They had these children, and then all of them died. So then the next two, I've got Mr. Davenport, married in 75, Mr. Robinson in 79. Again, the months come from the date of application for the new surname on Joan Lee Palmer's Social Security record. And they are ballpark at the moment. The year, considering it's before December, the years are probably right, but the months maybe not. She might have applied 1-2 months after being married. So we're going to see what that leads to with further searches on Ancestry. But this I just wanted you to see and understand. I'm marking him as a preferred spouse simply because she had children with him. She did not have time to have children with the 2-month marriage husband, Mr. Stein, and we'll see what happens with the rest of these spouses. I don't like finding stories like this, but I do like finding resolution to things. And so that's what I got. They were all buried together. The bodies were taken back to Carterville Cemetery in Jasper, Missouri. It is where this child was born, but where subsequent children were not necessarily. The other thing that I have to do here is, this is obviously an 8-year-old child, actually 7-year-old child when he died. So what we do is we want to indicate, so that people don't screw things up, or at least they have a harder time screwing them up, that he was never married and that he never had any children. Someone might try to conflate another Tony Burke or Tony Ray Burke with this child, born at a similar time or in similar place, but who was an adult and went on to marry and have children. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. So we go to the blue plus, and all the way down it says no children and no couple relationships. So we're going to add these one at a time. No children, and we're simply going to save. There's no reason to say why. No need to say why. Anybody who looks at the birth and death dates will get that. And we have also no couple relationships. Same deal. I don't need to bother to give a reason because the child died at age 7. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that with all the other children as well. Okay, we got Barbara Jean, Terry Lee. We're going to add to Terry Lee. No couple relationships and no children. And then we're going to go to the last child, Robert Lynn, and we're going to do the same for him. No children and no couple relationships. Now, barring the discovery of any further sources, these profiles are completed, and that's good. You never want to leave a family behind or an individual behind until you've figured out everything about them, you've added all possible sources, and if necessary, memories. Now, the memories, I added it to all of the children as well. I will add it to Joan because she is mentioned in it. And the way that I do that is very simple. Here's Joan Lee Palmer. I go to Memories, I go to Add. It's a document, right? Because it's a newspaper article. And then I'm going to Family Search Gallery because I've already uploaded it from my files. And now it's simply a question of going over and adding this already added document to this individual person. So my Family Search Gallery, and it's the most recent thing I added, and there it is. The obituary had to be listed correctly as well, so here's what I did. I just called the thing obituary for the Burkes because it accounted for 5 deaths. Oh man, this thing's working slow today. There we go. Then I pulled the description here. It's in the newspaper, and offhand I can't see where it is. Well, I can't see the article. Am I looking past it? Do you guys see it? Anyway, it was on this page. Fire kills, here we go. Fire kills dad, 4 children. So how do I get the information for the paper itself? I go to the I here. See that? And I copy this and copy it, and then I go over to the article as I added it onto onto Family Search, and I paste in that information in the description here. And then I had to find the page number, and this doesn't list the page number. Oops, sorry. Too many taps. So I go up to the top, and it's listed News Tribune, page 1. So I made sure that I provided that as well. When you provide a news article, it is critical that you offer all publication information. And that is because we don't want other people to have trouble finding the record for themselves. You want anybody to be able to go and find whatever else they needed to in the newspaper that day. So that's that. This family is now completed. The children, 3 out of 4 of them actually existed already as individual profiles with no parents attached to them. In 2012, at the time of the Great Reckoning, apparently someone put in the information about the name, the birth, the death, and nothing else. No parents, nothing. So that was when possible duplicates popped up and I was able to add them. So there's a lot involved when you're trying to assemble a family. It could be that somebody did the inferior work of adding a single person with no parental information, and, you know, that's just the way that it goes, is that sometimes there are what I like to call floaters out there, because I get migraines, I guess. I know the word floaters. And simply do the work of searching, do the work of comparison, and provide all the best evidence possible. And that is your best practice. So, long way around. Sorry, didn't mean to make it as long as it is. I am feeling better, so I guess I have more air and I'm more into teaching than I was. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.